Okay, record.
There you go. All right, call the meeting to order, whatever time it is, 10 or
John,
11,
that's why I get the big bucks.
11, 12 is our start time. You all got the minutes in your emails and stuff, and it's going to be posted on the website. It has been posted for 8/26, the last minutes for the last meeting. So it's all on the website under the officer page and then the individual meetings. So I'd like a motion to dispense with the minutes, please.
I make a motion, we dispense with the minutes.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so all those minutes, as I said, all the stuff, and that was the meeting with Benistar, our last meeting with Benistar, if everybody remembers. You know, they made all the promises early September and all that jazz, and we're still waiting. But anyway, all that stuff is on the website. All right, and let's see. Financial report, Connie, you're up.
All righty. Well, everything, as you can see, matched at the end of August. I had $52.57 from Stripe that I just transferred last night, and $90.19 from PayPal that also got transferred. So that, so our balance right now is $46.40 after some of the debits we had.
Right.
Right now in September. I also have a check that I have not deposited for $120.
Okay, that you said with Kathy Higdon, right?
Yeah.
Higdon. All right, I got it. Well, I'm working on updating my spreadsheet on donations and all that good. So, okay. Again, the carryover is being eaten up. The carryover reserve from you know, that we normally carry about 7,000, 7,500 in that range for the next year. We're down to 44.98. You can see right there in this paragraph. So we're down to that, which is about 2,500 lower than previous years. So that puts us behind the eight ball. If you look at Connie's spreadsheet, you'll see minuses all the way down from, I forget what month, July, or maybe even earlier, maybe June, Connie, somewhere in there, we were in the negative. And it just keeps declining as we have expense. So unless we get something going, I haven't started the fundraising yet to try to bring in that income for 2022, which normally we start right about now, October. And then we're waiting on, obviously, Anthem Benistar, and there's supposedly be $10 to $12 an enrollee that we'll get from that, which would be good if we get a big enrollment as we market this thing. And that would keep us financially viable, as I keep saying. So that's, I'm not going to go into the total contributions and all that stuff this time because I was right in the middle of updating all that. But, you know, I'll go over that in our next meeting where we stand, expense versus contributions and all that stuff. So you see where we really stand. You can look at Connie's spreadsheet though and see a lot of that. One side is the expense and the other side is the income or revenue. So you can look at that to see how it's getting eaten up right now. All right, so can I have a motion there? Anybody got any questions for Connie on the financial report? Nobody? Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the financial report?
I make a motion to accept the financial report.
All right,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're gonna skip this section on total donations, the income versus expense and all that, and even down below, because I was right in the middle of trying to do all that. And didn't get it completed. So we don't need to do anything with the old business there that's in this thing because it's just a review of the same thing we said above, the minutes, the video, all the documents are on the website if anybody wants to look at them. Just for the one part in there with Benistar, you know, we had a meeting on 5/13. Ed and I have had private meetings with them. We've had board meetings with them. There's video recording of all that and their pledges and promises and missed deadline dates and all that stuff. This would be, if they don't make it this time, it's like the 5th time, which is totally frustrating to me. And I'll talk more about that. But, you know, and we had the 8/26 meeting after that. Okay. So here's what I got when I wrote that nice email I sent to all of you about I'm getting frustrated with all this and you know, I'm tired of chasing people for donations. I'm tired of what's going on, because without the value added incentive, financial incentive of this healthcare plan and the income it'll bring in, I don't see us staying financially viable. There's options that we could consider and talk about. And as I was writing all that and saying that all to you guys in an email, my last email to the whole board and Dad, I just expressed my frustration and I didn't know if I really want to continue with this or fold it into some other organization or have somebody else step up to run it. If that's the case, I know there are certain board members that have said here, if I quit, they're quitting too, they're leaving too. So I don't know what that means for the organization other than, you know, we're done. But there is the option of folding it in. There is the option of hiring possibly a CEO or not a CEO, executive director to run the organization as it's folded into another organization, such as Ed's organization, which is Retirees for Justice. None of that's finalized. I'm just talking this out, and this is something as a board we really need to talk it out. So as I was getting all frustrated with that and saying, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of chasing them, you know, a year and a half, take 6 months off when I was moving and all that. We've been chasing them and trying to finalize this deal. Ed's been involved, you know, and there's legal things that we have to have, and they're not providing the full Anthem, Gerbs, Benestar contract, the final contract with all those legalities in there and the things we need in. We're not signing nothing until we have that. And we keep trying to make that point, and they send us bits and pieces every time. And, you know, this has been going on, as I said, for a long time. So, so I get this email, which is in this number 1 right here, update 9/29 from Don. Ed got it and I got it. The numbers are final. The couple additional benefits will be added without increasing the premium. Specifically, hospice and expanded transportation benefit will be included. We did not receive any further comments. That's not true. We did give them comments about what needed to be done or changed. We emailed them. You know, we didn't, after 8/26, we didn't have another meeting, but we emailed them and I copied the whole board and I copied Ed with those comments of what we need in there. And Ed has sent them emails and said what we need. So they say the next line, and this is the end of his short email, it says, Anthem is building the EOCs, evidence of coverages for each plan option and all that, and will be part of the addendum. And they should have the final contract back in next day or two. Well, they said that last week, 9/22, and they said that we'd be starting in early September, getting this contract done and our board approving it, and I sign off on it. There should be actually 2 members from our board signing off on it. And if everybody's in agreement, Ed could be the other as our attorney on that contract if everybody's okay with that. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, so it'll be Ed and I.
But just to be clear, the most important document is the evidence of coverage.
Right.
Because
You
without
want to
that,
explain why, Ed? You want to explain to the board why that's so important?
yeah, I mean, look, there are 2 things that matter for you guys: is the cost and what they're going to cover. And if you get something back and it turns out that they're not providing coverage for something that's critical for you, well, then the benefit of this whole thing goes out the window.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, one thing we didn't talk about is that fee, that service fee. They haven't still clarified that with us. That they say we're going to have to pay a service fee per enrollment or some baloney there. You know, that's the one thing we really got to make sure that when it comes, if it comes in that contract again, I mean, we stated our concern about that. And they really never answered what that fee is or how that's going to be taken or, you know, any of the specifics of that. They haven't done it. So we really need that clarified too. I mean, we'll get this darn thing and then we'll send it back and say, no, we're not absorbing any cost. You're absorbing the cost and then delay it again. That's stupid. You know? It's just plain ridiculous to do that. The last meeting, what we did we went over the plan options, if everybody remembers, and the rates. That was that Anthem graphical presentation, couple pages, I think it was, or maybe a little bit more. But that was only one part. As we keep saying, we need the full document. We're not signing just the plan and the rates. We need, as that, the evidence of coverage and all the specifics that need to be in the addendum. So again, we're waiting on that. So they said 2 or 3 days. When was that? A couple days ago, right, Ed? Or
Yep.
yesterday? Yeah. So
2 days ago.
so they will they have it by the end of the week, or will we be into October? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, so, that's the best update I can give you, folks. You know what I've been doing, and you know what Ed and I have been doing to try to get them off the dime and get this thing done and get it settled. Let's kick it off. Let's kick off the marketing. Let's kick off the enrollments. Let's kick off the website. Let's kick off all that stuff that has to follow the signing of the contract, so that we can have what they're saying is the tentative date for the official plan in place kickoff is January 1st. Well, we were supposed to get all this done in early September. It's the end of September. We're headed to October. So are they going to make that deadline, or are they going to miss it again? That's my frustration with these people. So, I mean, for everybody, you read my email. The thing for me is, listen, I give a lot of time, a lot of energy to this. We're not really strong financially. I'm getting tired. I'm getting frustrated. I'm trying to add value-added options for our retirees to entice them to register, give us a small donation. But you know what we've gone through. It's gotten less and less over the years. And you can't run an organization and cover your expenses if the people aren't going to make a measly $24 a year donation. I mean, come on, really? And so we have, excuse me, we have 2,500 on Facebook. We have 728 on our formal site, registered members. And we have about 149 or somewhere in there, maybe 159 by now, with the ones Connie just put in. That's it, total donations. That's less than, I don't know what percent, I'd have to calculate, but it's a very small percentage. And I don't know, again, there's some politics in the background, there's some other crap in the background, but I've done this for 7 years, folks, and I am getting tired, and I do have a new priority in my life. And we also, individually, we also have the right to enjoy our retirements also, without beating our head against the wall year after year and seeing a decline. So I want to hear from the board. What are you guys thinking? I know, Brian, you asked me a question. Are you quitting or what? You asked me straight out. And I'm not at this point. If we get this off, but I will do something because we need to have, well, there's no easy way of putting it. For the amount of work I put into this and the hours I put into this and the skills and talents I bring to this to keep this organized, to keep us up to date with IRS, with Kansas, state of Kansas, all the reporting, all the stuff, that person should get some kind of compensation in my mind, and that obviously right now is me. But if I was to step out and you get a CEO, that's a different story. We fold it into Ed's organization. He makes it a subgroup of his and have a CEO, a guy that would get some kind of stipend, depending on the income we bring in from the Benestar Anthem deal, you see, because Ed can't just put out a salary out there. There'd have to be some income coming in, obviously. These are just ideas I'm throwing out here, folks. I mean, Ed and I were going to have a big talk. He's going to have his first board meeting October 15th. And we were going to have a long talk, excuse me, before that about what my future is going to be in his organization and where we're headed and what we're doing and all that, and in raising income for his organization. So there's a lot of variables going on here about our direction, is what I'm saying to you. So I want to hear from you guys. What are you thinking? Jump in there, folks. Speak your
Well,
mind.
if
Go
we
ahead.
look at the possibility of folding into Retirees for Justice, how exactly is that going to be run?
Ed, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll answer it the best I can. It's kind of new for all of us. There are a lot of parts that are moving. I have to really figure it out, but look, what I would love to see happen is for you guys to stay involved. I've found that in working with retirees over the past decade, what they bring to the table, what you guys bring to the table more than anything else, is your understanding of these issues and your dedication to an important cause. I have no doubt that if retirees are not vocal, more and more of their earned benefits will be eroded. You know, it starts with healthcare, it goes down to pension, and you know, you get left in a situation where it could be pretty bad if folks don't speak up. The good news is that retirees are very dedicated, very vocal, and they vote. And politicians realize that. So the more that we can message about how important it is to protect retiree earned benefits, the better. We could easily fold the organizations together one way or another. There's already free membership from anybody who wants to join Retirees for Justice. We could create a GE specific chapter,
Yeah.
you know, inside of it. We'd still have some of the same issues. We'd still have to fundraise around it. But, you know, I think we could do that and bring more heft to the table. The issues are going to be exactly the same. There is a component of what you do that's unique to GE that you'd want to keep, in my mind, because I think some of that stuff is interesting from a human interest standpoint. So I'm sure we could figure out a way to make that work. But we would still have to do quite a bit of fundraising, which we're gearing up now, and we do see a lot of potential. But it's going to take work. And from my standpoint, I just want you all to stay involved, because without dedicated retirees, it's very hard to move anything on the legislative front. And I see what's happening now just over the past decade with the amount of pension risk that's been taken on by insurance companies. If people don't really pay attention to that, it's going to get away from us. It's going to get away from everyone, and it could be a real problem.
Yeah, they already took the healthcare and then the pensions. Yeah, definitely.
And with private equity moving into the insurance business, you know, there's a lot of reasons for people to get concerned. And the tide is starting to change now a little bit about people focusing on this, because people know that Leon Black made his fortune off of Executive Life, which was one of the biggest insurance insolvencies ever. And now he's funded Athene, which is the company that took over a portion of GE's pension.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of things are going to come to the fore over the next couple of years that are going to be really important for retiree pension benefits.
Right.
So I think we've got the platform, we've got the right issues, but we need people and support. So,
Right.
you know, however we have to do it, I'm open to suggestions, as long as we keep the dialogue going and keep people active. What works at the legislative level, whether it's talking to members of Congress or talking to members of the various states, is to have retiree representatives reach out as constituents and say, hey, this issue is important to me. I need you to do something about it for me and for my colleagues.
Right.
And that really does get people's attention. So, you know, from a standpoint of what I see in the future, is having active retirees participate on that level is what I'm really hoping to corral.
When we started, Ed, you know, we have a little history document on our website. When we started, we were a lot about activism, you know, and getting involved in that. And meeting with GE in the fall and the spring, and going to the share owners and raising our voice to the GE board of directors and doing all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that's where we started. Then we got into GE isn't going to budge on some of the issues like RRA and other issues, prescriptions, and a good comprehensive health care that when they took the first one away, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we had to look at all that. We started coming up with our own solutions. The short name of our group, Solutions for Our Retirees. If GE isn't going to move, we're going to move. And so we got into this healthcare thing as a big value added benefit for our members, because we feel we can offer something better than GE and VIA does. And so that's why we're pursuing those type of solutions. So, but we never drop, my point is, we never drop the activism piece of this thing, you know, as far as a group. And we're vocal, and we do surveys, and we do petitions, and we do, you know, not just rhetoric is what I'm saying. We do good reporting, fact checking, and all that kind of stuff, research. We do it all before we present anything to GE, because that's what they have to hear. They don't need to hear our pounding our fists and screaming our voices. That doesn't do anything to them. They just laugh at us when we leave the room. You know, so we're a combination now. We're a combination of activism. We're still very involved in being advocates for our retirees and dependents and their health care and the pensions and all the other issues that are involved with that. But we're also trying to come up with our own solutions, because GE is just not moving off the dime. That's the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm in favor of trying to melt in to the Retirees for Justice organization. I've been into the site several times, have donated. I really like what I'm seeing on there, especially about the pension de-risking issues.
Yeah.
I don't think retirees are paying much attention to that. I don't think they think it's ever going to affect them. And I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
And if we could, well, I've got concerns. If we were to do this, are the current board members still going to be active in this?
Yeah, I think it would be a subchapter, like Ed said, and
Yeah.
the board
Yeah.
would stay intact, but we'd be a subchapter. Just remember when we were going to roll ourselves into Ed Cohen's group. What was that group, Eddie? Ed, what was the name of that group that they had that Ed was, or Jack Cohen was part of?
Oh, Protect Seniors?
Yeah, Protect Seniors. We looked at them, and we also looked at rolling into CWA. You remember what a disaster that was. Protect
Right.
Seniors dissolved, so that was the end of that. So we can do this legally and still be a separate entity, but we'd be Ed, if I'm wrong saying this, but you can correct me, but a subchapter.
Yeah. No, I would want that, because I think what's unique is, and we could even set it up so that, you know, there'd be a public facing part that everybody would see. There'd be some limited information available about your group, and then the subchapter could be, you know, a different ID. I have to check with, you know, exactly how to do that, but I don't see why it couldn't be the same group just as a, you know, as a subchapter, or because it makes sense for other groups too. Part of what's, I think, important for retirees, in addition to fighting this, you know, these issues, and I agree, by the way, with the comment about pension de-risking. A lot of people don't realize how significant an issue it is, and how much money is involved. So I expect we're going to pass $200 billion in risk transfers to insurance companies since 2012. And at the same time, more and more private equity funds are getting into the business of taking over those liabilities. That's a really scary thought, right? Because they're not set up to manage for 30 years. They want to make their money and harvest and then sell.
That's what they've
You know,
been
that
doing with
doesn't-
manufacturing for the last 30 years.
Right, they did it in my plant. Yeah, they did in a lot of plants.
And that's a big deal. So, you know, there's things that we're going to share common ground on, but there's a very unique aspect to all of this that you guys bring to the table that you wouldn't want to dilute. And that's kind of the GE specific stuff. And I could envision, you know, having subchapters for other groups so they could share not just personal stories, but issues that are specific to their company, even things about members passing on or about their families or issues or things of that nature. And even if you want to schedule many meetings and, you know, reunions and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
But I'll have to figure out the mechanics, but I'll look into it and let you know how to do it. From my standpoint, it adds value overall and gives us one platform for messaging, and at the same time allows you to continue, you know, with your group specific content that I think is so important to your members.
Yes, I agree. And if that was the way, folks, and again, I'm just telling you bluntly that, you know, I've given a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of years to this, and I think I would, what I bring to the table for this, I should receive some kind of compensation. I'm not looking at a big salary or anything like that, but some kind of compensation. You know, I've given to this for a long. You guys gave me a stipend at one point. I gave it back because you know what our financials are. They're horrible. So I gave that back. You know, really? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody agrees with me. You know, the other groups say they do it for free. They don't charge. They make a political thing out of it. Well, we're adding, it's value added for us, the things we're going to offer to these people. You know,
And I think that what we can do to get some cash into Retirees for Justice that I'm planning to do, but we could do it on an even bigger level, you know, the more membership and representation that we have. There are lots of folks who provide services who would love to have materials about what they do available on a website, you know, and they can pay for that. And, you know, we can make sure we screen it and vet it and make sure it's the kind of stuff that we want. But there are enough things that are out there that are unique, you know, of unique interest to retirees that they could do that folks would pay to have people on board with. I'll give you, you know, even in the legal community, I can tell you how specialized it is for things like estate planning, for emergencies that come up, people to have a resource to go to find folks to help them. If they need a doctor, a lawyer, a trustee, whatever it may be, you know, there are lots of folks who'd be very interested in having access to a lot of retirees concentrated in one group. And I think we could raise some money that way and have, you know, the ability to pay stipends for folks who are performing services. It's going to grow slowly, but I think that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Well, John, I agree that you should have got paid. We were doing it for a little bit, but then you're the one who said you would quit getting it when we bought the computer, when we paid for the computer. Remember?
I caught part of that. It was kind of going in and out a little bit, Connie.
What I was saying is that I think we all felt that you deserve to get paid, and that's why we agreed to give you that, what was it, $50 a month? But
Yeah.
then you're the one who said you would stop receiving it when we voted to get you the laptop.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, I don't know, a wash, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Probably was a wash. Totally. You know, it was more than a wash.
But I'm not saying that you didn't need that laptop, because I know that you used your personal equipment for many, many years.
Yeah.
And that overloaded it. So yeah, you did deserve it. I'm not saying that you didn't at all.
Oh, no, I know you're not. I know. You're not.
But I get why you decided not to take the 50 a month.
Yeah, well, when we were declining, sure. Yeah, when we were declining, I said I can't do it. I can't do
Right.
it. Again, the one thing I want to point out, and Ed, if the Benestar Gerbs Anthem thing goes through, they said we would get $10 a month, $10 to $12 per month per enrollee. And if we do good marketing and really bring in a lot of people into that plan, that's going to be enough money for us to cover our expenses as say we're a subchapter, and offer me a little bit of a salary for the amount of hours and work I put into running that organization.
Right.
It wouldn't be an added expense to retirees. We'd create an income.
Right. No, and I think we could track that no matter what, even if we wound up eventually joining together, we would still know who came from the GE family. That wouldn't be hard to track, right?
No, it wouldn't be hard to track at all, because they have to provide us with those kind of reports. They have to give us those kind of, I don't know if we're talking monthly or I would think monthly. They have to provide us with some kind of report. You know, you know, Ed, I don't remember that being in the contract language at all either. You know what I'm saying?
There are reporting requirements in there. I don't have it in front of me, but I know there are recording requirements.
Oh, okay.
In terms of enrollment, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
What
Good.
good is it gonna do for them to give us a $10, let's say, bounty per enrollee if they're gonna turn around and charge you a service fee for each one?
Well, that's what we don't know. That's why I just said that to Ed to remind them. We got to find out what that service fee is all about. They tried to put that through.
That was just thrown. I'm not clear. Yeah, I agree with that comment. I don't know how, it doesn't make any sense to pay you a fee and then you give it back to them. I don't think that's the way it was supposed to work, but they never disclosed what that service fee was for and who was going to pay it. That may be something they get paid by Aetna. I don't know. But the idea is that you as an organization should get some sort of a marketing fee or enrollment fee for putting this out to your members if they enroll. And that's not uncommon. And that could translate if you were successful in getting this marketed to lots of other people and that caused more people to join the organization and they got more members, that amount of money could add up pretty quickly. It sounds
Yeah,
like
it
it's not
could.
that much, $10, but when it's $10 a month per enrolled person, that's a lot.
Well, it's a lot more than we have in our budget right now, I can tell you that. If we had,
Right.
even 10,000 people that enrolled over, let's say, the next year or something. And of course, they swear up and down that Paul there, the computer guru guy there, he could bring in people like you wouldn't believe. That's what they say. He can market and bring them in. So he can hit all the different locations. He can hit the chapters. He gets all the background information with that marketing tool that he uses there, that software he uses, and he could bring a lot of people in. That's what they're pledged to us.
Right. So then that'll benefit everybody, no matter what, if that gets going. Look, I don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger on this and gotten it done. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I don't see how they can make any money if they don't issue the policy. So that's what I'm kind of struggling with. And I'll follow up with Don again. I struggle with understanding why it's not done already.
You and me both, because after 5 delays, come on. What is the problem here?
I will say this, that I've experienced nothing but delays in my career when dealing with insurance companies. So it's not that unusual to have something delay because it's
like I said, if they're going for a contract in New York City for 250,000, and here we're starting off at 150 and going to try to grow this thing. Of course, we're small potatoes for crying out loud. They don't want to deal with it. We'll get to them when we get to them,
Yeah.
That kind of attitude.
What Benistar is doing to me is they are, they're affecting our survivorship as a group. Without them, I can't start going online like I'm supposed to and start solicit for new members.
That's exactly
and for
right.
contributions.
I understand that, from the beginning, when I first started talking with John, it was all about the marketing around that product and how that would help you go out to other chapters and other, GE retirees to help bring them into the fold. So that was always part of the plan. So it is hurting your ability to go out there. Plus you created expectations for folks for good reason, but when we get off the phone, I'm going to call Don and just say, look, this is getting to I'm not going to tell him anything that we discussed today. I'm just going to say it's getting to the point where folks are scratching their heads saying, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And are we going to get this done or not?
Yeah, because without it, we don't have the income to stay viable. That's just the bottom line. And I think everybody understands that. We go over it every month for crying out loud. We're just going down and down and down. We're in the red.
Didn't we ever ask them for referrals, of other companies that they have signed up with them? Because I've just always wondered about that. What other companies do they have?
Connie, we did originally, if you remember, we did ask them to give us a number of their people, their clients, and would they be willing to talk to us? And they never did really do that, as you know.
Yeah. And they never did do the comparison either, that chart.
Yeah.
And I suppose I could do it now with the chart that they sent us. I think it has, I don't know, in my honest opinion, I think that I'm still going to be better off staying with the $1,000 that I get from GE and stay with VIA.
Yeah.
Because I think that their cost is like $100 a month. And what I'm paying right now is $95. And I have a copay, but I don't go often to the doctor at all. And I think their copays are equivalent to what I have right now. Also, I don't know if Anthem really does cover as good here as the insurance company that I have now.
Right. Well, they say every state, they got some kind of Blue Cross, what do you call it, in each state? They're mandated in the state or recognized or certified in the state or whatever the heck it's called. They have coverage in all 50 states, so they say.
Right.
And it's portable between states. It's portable if you go on vacation, you leave your state and go someplace. As long as it's a Medicare approved provider, your benefits stay the same.
Right, but I think what Connie was saying, she's not sure that she's gonna save anything by going with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, she was saying.
Which might, in that particular case, might be true. And that's just the reality of the way our healthcare
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, there'll be some people that'll say, no, I don't want to switch. No, you're not really saving me money. But,
But
you know,
I-
we're,
But that's
Right.
okay. I think the idea was not to provide a perfect solution, because I don't think there are any. But to provide an option and an alternative for folks. If they didn't have if they weren't happy with what they had something that they could look to that was good.
right. And we tried to make it with the enhanced benefits and extra
Right.
benefits under that cost. Now, you know,
Right.
there's two plans. One was Connie, one was just under 200 for the real good one, with low deductibles, low copays. You pay that just under 200 premium a month. The other one was the low option where it was higher deductibles, higher copays, but you paid like $100 a month, something like that for the premium. But what Connie's saying about the comparison, Ed, in the beginning, we told them we wanted comparisons of what our board members, a couple of our board members wanted this, what they have now with Medicare or through VIA, you know, what plan NGF, whatever, and compare it to what Benestar is going to offer, so we could see, is it worthwhile for our board members, just for our own, as we were doing our due diligence, just for our own information. But they
Sure.
never did that either. They never gave us the referrals either.
I sent them a ton of information on raise too. I mean, like a bunch of bills that I, was getting and that we had to pay out of pocket and what our insurance paid and stuff. And a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They
we
never
had some-
did it.
Yep. I know, they did drop the ball, they can blame Anthem all they want. Some ways they dropped the ball themselves, Benestar.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt they have. I mean, they certainly haven't been on it in terms of getting back to us. So
Yeah.
I'll follow up with them today and see what's coming down the pike. I would expect that I'll get an answer. I usually do. Sometimes it's not what I want, but I usually get some kind of answer.
Well, I'm not gonna speak for the whole board. The board can speak for itself, but if they delay this another month and it kicks back the kickoff date, I feel like I'm done with these clowns. I'm done with them, I mean, that's, well, anybody else on the board want to state their opinion or feeling or whatever?
I'd like to say something.
Yeah,
I appreciate all the work you've done over the years and the board has done. But without the finance, I don't see this board surviving. And if it's, I don't see a whole board going on board as big with Ed's group, because I don't think you need the trustees to monitor spending and all kind of stuff.
yeah.
With that, if I'm not out of order, I would like to make a proposal that we go ahead and start the process of becoming an umbrella under Ed's,
Organization,
yes.
Retirees for Justice. Yeah.
If
Well, give
I'm
me-
not out of-
You're not out of order at all. Let me just get you something to look at. I'm gonna talk it over with the folks that I started it with and figure out, even with the folks on the the web platform side of it, figure out what we can do, how we can do it.
Okay. Well, why don't we, if you don't mind, Stan, that we give Ed permission as a board to investigate rolling us under his organization or as a subchapter. And that'll check out all the legalities and talk to his people he started it with. And we'll go from there once he's done that kind of, research or investigation into how this should roll out. Is that okay, Stan?
With that being said, I will pull my proposal back off the floor.
Well, I didn't catch what he said.
He said he was pulling his proposal off the floor, but we're actually doing exactly what he said. So
Yeah.
we'll figure it. But Stan, I think what I'd like to do it in a way that keeps your group as intact as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's going to be important because if you're going to try to get GE retirees independence into it, it's got to have a focus on GE retirement benefits. And
Absolutely.
pension and healthcare and
Not only that, from a grassroots standpoint, when you're writing to members of Congress, members of the legislature, they always want to know who you are, where you worked, what your background is all about, how long, what you expected from your retirement versus what you're getting, how that's changed. And that's going to be very specific to your own experience. So that's the importance of keeping those things kind of segregated.
Well, the advantage of us trying to get this program going with Ministar is more and more of GE retirees that are getting ready to retire here now and in the future have been pulled off of the RRA.
Yeah.
And they're having diminishing returns on what kind of value is being added to their supplemental insurance. And so we're really thinking about the people that's coming down the pike, because we know GE is going to try to de-risk them as much as they can.
Yeah.
And we're slowly going back to the Gilded Age where, if we don't put a stop to this somehow, it's going to go back to nobody's going to have insurance when they retire. And there's always lobbyists working to try to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's probably important that we get some kind of an alternative to what they might be stuck with when they retire, our GE retirees.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And when you think about that, remember the statistic I gave to all of you. There's 250,000 of us now. I think another 150 or 175,000 coming out, Rodney, to your number. But we're losing 10 to 12,000 retirees a year. That's what the number GE gave me. So our group will be gone in 10 years or whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what they're hoping.
Yeah, that's what they want. They want that. Then they ain't got to worry about us.
Well,
So,
I can attest to what's going on now since I'm just 63. Okay, so I'm not to the retirement age. However, I am disabled. So I was forced by GE to take out part A and B. Okay,
Yeah.
I do that. And Aetna is the secondary. They don't pick up anything. I called them personally and say, what's the deal?
Yeah.
I've got a cancer doctor I have to go to. I mean, it's over $1,000 every time I go see this guy.
Wow.
And Medicare only picks up so much. And I would think that Aetna would pick up the next part of it.
Yeah.
And I called them and said, no, it doesn't work that way. We're just going to apply it to your deductible. I'm going, my God, what good to have you then. So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're between a
don't
rock
care
and a
about
hard
me.
place. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the statistics, whether Kaiser's study or what we've done in our studies, up to 30% of retirees or seniors across the country skip medications, skip tests and procedures, and skip doctor's appointments because they can't afford the out-of-pocket cost. I think that's unconscionable. I told you that. I think that's unconscionable that you don't offer something better for our retirees. You took everything away. That measly $1,000 you gave us wouldn't pay to get our horse fixed. For crying out loud.
So my whole point is it's important that we get something out there and in place for people who are getting ready to retire.
Yes.
They've got something that's solid.
And
I don't have anything.
Yeah, the point was to get this off the ground was the two options post 65. But we've had many discussions about pre-65 for those getting ready to go out or do go out like you on disability. But we had to table that. You see how hard it was to even get this contract done. Can you imagine when we go to pre-65 what we're going to go through? But that option should be available is what I'm saying, Brian. That option, our plan is to have that option available in the future, pre-65. That was part of the whole planning process. But you can't focus on both things with Benistar. I don't think you can get one thing done, let alone two. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about them these days.
Right, but I think that the important thing is the more you can offer options, the better off you are. You can't guarantee that they're going to be perfect, but as long as you give people options, there's some benefit and people will come and look at it, and that'll create kind of the community that we want to create.
And especially, Ed, just like Rodney said, there's a group that's going to be coming out. when they cut it off, Rodney, back in 2015, they cut off the pension and RRA.
You mean when they froze the pension?
Not just froze the pension, but the healthcare part of it. There was something, a contract. Stan, do you remember the contract year where they cut people off? They aren't going to get healthcare pensions or,
That was
Wasn't that-
2015, I think, the contract.
yeah. So those people are going to come out, be looking for options other, they said they'll give them a concierge service with via benefits. Well, bullshit, concierge service. We'll have an option out there for them to come to, is my point. Which would be good for us to have that option. Anybody else want to say anything about this or how you feel about this or, any thoughts that popped into your head as we were discussing this darn thing? I mean, you can hear my frustration. You've read my frustration. I'm almost at the end of my rope with this whole deal.
Well, John, you've been the glue that's pretty much held us all together.
Yeah.
Because of your stubbornness. You're stubborn as a bull, and
That's a nice way of
most of us,
putting it.
we're retired. We'd like to get on with our lives and do things, but we're also concerned about, other people.
Yeah, what's the next shoe to drop? Yeah, what's the next shoe to drop, right?
And so you've been pretty much the reason why we've been hanging on, because
Yeah.
a lot of us already got things to do, and
Sure you do.
you
Sure
know,
you do. You got personal issues, personal stuff, family stuff. You got your own life to live. You got grandkids. You got all that stuff. My God. And to ask people to give the kind of time that we've given to this thing for the past 7 years, that's a lot of damn time, a lot of commitment.
Rodney, aren't you, John and I, the original ones? from the
yes.
beginning? Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
John started bugging me when we
Yeah.
were having the rally when G was wanting to spin off our
Mhm.
appliance division, and we had some pretty good rallies. We got the community
we did.
behind us, and we were Stanley might know what I'm talking about. We were like the first factory that was going to vote on a contract, and if we would have struck it down, it would have caused the others to follow suit. And G was wanting to sell it so bad that they was willing to kind of give us a break. And so once they sold it, once they spun it off and sold it, they sold it to High Air.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, High Air had to pick up the 1,000 RRA. I was very surprised about that.
Wow. I didn't know
That's
that.
why they wanted to spin it off so bad. They want to get rid of it.
Oh, so they wrote that into the contract, the $1,000 RRA, they wrote into the higher contract?
Yeah, because there's
Wow.
people that's getting that.
Now, isn't that interesting? Ed, did you hear that? Because if we said we're a subgroup and we're offering options, we should get, I sent you that legal thing about that. We should be able to get that, manage that $1,000 to our retirees, not via. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand it's going to be a hard sell because there's a lot of stuff that goes on under the table that you probably don't know about and that I don't know about. But I understand what you're saying.
But he just gave us an example of where they did it. So their argument doesn't hold water with me. And I sent you that legal argument where they said if it's voluntary, they cannot mandate where you go for your healthcare benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's true. That's for sure. Right.
Yeah. So that's very interesting because
So tell me how it works. How does the money get to VIA?
G must transfer it by, when you guys get your money, you have to go through VIA, right? To get your $1,000, right? So GE set up some kind of trust fund or whatever with VIA, and then these guys have to make out, I don't get it. So these guys have to make out paperwork, right? With VIA on their site to get your $1,000.
So like, for example, I have my prescription through VIA. So VIA automatically pays the insurance company. I have Mutual of Omaha. Oh, I have Mutual of Omaha for my Plan D. Freaking dog. And so then they pay Mutual of Omaha. I have Mutual of Omaha for my supplemental outside of VIA, So then I have to get a letter from my insurance company saying that I have insurance with them from what date to what date, how much it is, and all this other crap. And then I have to send it to them.
To VIA, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So then the insurance company takes out my premium, which is, I guess, $95. So Mutual of Omaha has an automatic it deducts from my checking account to them, and then VIA sends me a check. Or, well, now it goes automatically deposited to my check.
Yeah, they deposit it right back into your account.
Yeah.
And mine is,
Last year, I used to get a check. Just a
so
check.
bottom line is VIA manages that whole trip, but you got to provide, if you go outside the system, you have to provide verification or whatever,
Every year.
Right.
right? So, and that would be the same thing if anybody joins our option and they choose to take, to say the Medicare side of it, Medigap side of it versus the prescription side, they'd have to verify with VIA to get their $1,000.
And do you know how GE funds it? Do they put the money into a separate account, or how do they fund those payments for everybody?
Well, what I'm thinking is, I mean, I could try to ask Butch Rudy and see if he would tell me. I don't know if they'd tell me how they handle their finances and the legality of all that, but I think he might on the QT, but we could find out. I would think something like a trust fund that they have to keep so much money in to cover that. I don't know it. There has to be some kind of legality to that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I guess we need to know what their arrangement with VIA is.
Yeah.
They may, VIA may just make requests for them and they fund it as they go, or they may have a bunch of money set aside. I don't know.
But what I'm saying going forward, like if we were to raise that issue and say, okay, we want that trust fund set up with Benestar for our enrollees instead of VIA, take them right out of the picture and streamline that thing. So, because when they first started that, didn't a lot of people have problems, Connie or Rodney, or didn't they have a lot of people?
That's when Towers Watson was actually running it. And then of course they've switched to VIA. It's still the same, but they have cleaned up their act a little bit. I've not seen a lot of people complaining like they did 3 or 4 years ago when Towers Watson was actually running it. And the problem was they didn't have qualified people that were working the help desk at Towers Watson, and they had a high turnover rate. And so when you lose that knowledge of how to handle people's benefits, or, oh, well, you didn't fill this out, so let me get in touch with somebody else and get that right, that all just fell apart. And so now I think they've just gotten a little more smart about how their customer service is doing, because that was really the biggest problem with Towers
And and one thing I'll give kudos to our group is we did healthcare surveys. We did, especially in the beginning, like Rodney was saying, on VIA. And VIA was trying to say, and G was trying to say, 80% of our retirees are happy with this new system. Our surveys were saying 75% of the people were unhappy with this new service with VIA. So that it was one perspective versus the other. So G wanted everybody to think everybody's really happy with the system. Well, they weren't happy with the system.
That's because they weren't getting any responses.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Maybe the ones that were happy with it were the ones that Melody was taking care of for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing the damn
That was good, Connie.
They'd make the phone call or message her, and then she'd make all the calls and crap and
Yeah, take care of it
go
for
to
them.
town with it. So yeah, I'd be happy with that too. If
Yeah.
somebody was doing all the legwork for me.
Well, that's Brian's job now. So just remember that, Connie, if you want to bug somebody.
All right, so I'm going to work on figuring out the stuff that you had asked me and get back to you as quickly as I can.
Okay.
And then I have to unfortunately jump on another call.
Okay.
But, I would love to see the arrangement that GE has with VIA, because I'd love to figure out, it would be interesting to know whether or not if retirees chose another option, they could force GE to make the payment to the other provider.
That's, I think
Now,
legally.
that's something we don't know about.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm just not, I'm not
again,
sure what their arrangement says, but I'd love to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know what GE's legal arrangement is with VIA, that they can't do that step outside that contract, but I know what that law article, that law firm said in that article. They said, there's no way they can mandate you have to go through one provider.
I think that's right. I think that's right across the board, but yeah. Send me that again if you don't mind, John. I'll take a
I
fresh
will,
look
I'm
at it.
gonna write myself a note, and I'm gonna try to get Butch Rudy, he's the top guy that deals with us retirees.
Yeah, just ask him what happens if you use a different carrier. How would it work?
So you're saying, Ed, you're asking if I decided to use my prescription plan and my supplemental outside of VIA, why? Because, I mean, I have it on paper where it says it has to be one or the other. And John, we have it in our files and in our Facebook group that I
Yeah.
posted forever, and that it stipulates that. And I know I have several friends, one in particular here, Daryl, you know him, Brian, Daryl McClung. He flat refuses to go through VIA, and so he doesn't get the $1,000 just because he's being a stubborn.
But he doesn't get the money at all?
He won't get it. I mean, he's qualified for it, but he can't get it because he refuses to go through VIA.
And the thing, Ed, so you know, what Connie's saying about all the files we have on our thing, the SPD for the contract, the SPD states that you have to take one part. Now, whether that's legally binding is another question, you know? You know, and I know, Ed, they don't treat healthcare as a vested benefit versus pensions, you know?
I know, it's a
So it
welfare.
makes it a hard argument.
It makes it a very hard argument, and ERISA doesn't offer you a lot of protection, so
Yeah, exactly.
not with
You know, and
welfare. benefits.
I argued with them as well that Mutual of Omaha, if they even have Mutual of Omaha now through VIA, I don't know, because I don't even look through the supplemental plans that they have, because a lot of times they could be as high as $50 more through them for the exact same plan outside of VIA.
We brought that up too, Ed,
You're
that they
getting double
charge
screwed.
anywhere from $50 to $75 or more. That goes in their pocket. And we say, how do they get away with that?
And it's for the exact same plan with the exact same insurance company.
So they're discriminating based on your
There you
choice.
go.
of provider.
I like your word, discriminating against us older people. That's what they're doing, damn it. And they're telling us
All they
we,
call it screwing us.
and GE pays them a fee per capita, per enrollee. GE pays them a fee, plus they're adding on that extra charge, which I questioned all that with GE. And they say, well, they have a right to do that. I said, they do? You're paying them a fee and they have a right to escalate our costs? I don't
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. All right, Ed, if you
All
got to
right, I'm
jump
gonna
off.
sign off. I'll look forward to continuing the dialogue with you guys, and I'll make sure that we stay together one way or another.
Okay,
Okay, thank you,
All
Ed.
right, guys, thank you.
all right,
Bye-bye,
take care.
guys.
Just to, guys,
Bye, Ed.
just to finish this off, the rest of this is all contingent, all the rest of this agenda, as the past months, is contingent on the agreement being done. So there's no sense of me repeating this all over again to you. And we can kind of close this thing out. The only other thing, as Ed said and emphasized, that pension de-risking, that's still, I say, in 2023, next contract, G is going to go for the whole shebang on this one. That's what my opinion is. But everybody says John's trying to create a panic. John's doing this and that. You heard Ed's presentation. He knows, he's done all the research and legal stuff on this. He thinks it's a very bad, dire threat for us.
If you go into his website right now, Retirees for Justice, and on the front page, if you look right over on the right-hand side, he's got 4 or 5 companies
Yep.
already that have de-risked the pensions.
Yep.
And then,
More
I mean,
money.
you're talking about a lot of money.
Yeah, you are. Billions.
So,
He
mean,
said
if-
200 billion since 2012 or something like that, or
this
500 billion, whatever it
this
was.
is very real, and it needs to be given a lot of attention.
And the biggest problem for us is if money's held offshore, we have no control whatsoever. But if it goes to, like you said, a private equity, like Apollo has bought in Athene, that's that 70,000 that GE transferred out. If they transfer the rest of us out, that money is not secure. They could fold and you lose your total pension.
Yep.
You don't have a reserve PBGC to protect you.
As long as
Exactly.
it's overseas.
Even in the United States, it goes by state mandate. That's a total different protection in state
Right.
mandate versus federal. ERISA and PBGC. It's a total, you know, that's what we try to present and tell people. We got to keep an eye on this darn thing. If they can get away with it, they're going to do it. You know they are. I don't care what they say on the surface. Oh, no, we're never planning to do that. They already did 4 different ways. They already did 4 different things, salary people and buyouts and the total de-risking to the insurance and all that different stuff we presented in that webinar. So, all right. So unless anybody's got anything committee-wise or anything like that, I think we can kind of close this out. We're probably, if we get the plan for October, let me see here, our normal meeting date, which we haven't hit in probably 3 months, would be October 14th. I may move that up if we get the document, if we get the contract, so we can decide as a board whether to approve it or not. All right, is that all right with everybody? And then we'll go from there. And I'll, you know, Ed and I will be talking, and we'll decide as a board whether it's, if this thing kicks off, we start bringing income, we can stay viable. I don't know, I want to stay in this, but if it's a subchapter of his and I can get some kind of little salary out of this, it would help me, because I'm planning a new life, to be honest with you. And you know, I live good enough, I get by, but I don't have extra money, you know, and if I'm going to be involved with somebody, I need to be able to do things, if you all understand that, you know, like
What
trips.
sex was free? You paying for it now? I'm just kidding.
Oh, you rat. Yeah, you know, it's a, hey, I've been alone for 4 years, folks, and this is a good thing for me, you know, and
Yeah,
I want,
definitely.
you know, I want to contribute my fair share to this relationship, you know.
Yep. Well, I do want to talk about something, but after we get off recording. And
Okay,
stay on, can stay on. I just want to ask a few
all
questions.
right, well, then, again, all of the rest of this agenda anyway, if you wanted to look at it, or you have looked at it on your own, it's all contingent on the Benestar stuff, all our 4 main initiatives for the year. We've been redoing this for months and months, so you guys know what it says. So if nobody else has anything or no committee report, then in our next meeting will either be the 7th or the 14th. We'll see when we get this contract. So could I have if nobody else has anything, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll
second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so I'm going to shut off the recording. So Connie, do you want the whole board here or just?
I don't care whoever wants to stay. But you haven't started.
All right, let me shut off the recording first. Pause the recording. There we go.